So we come to the 9th move of this 35 move sequence. 3 forms together. We've done the 8 brocades, so we're starting off a new form, back to back. So it's like the first form of the 18 form qigong sequence, but the 9th move of the whole 35. Again, that doesn't matter. You can either do these segmentally, or you can do these in a sequence or put them in. It's basically just the usual one, which is Tai Chi beginning, which apart from a few ones like 8 brocades, it's generally at the beginning and the end, just coming down and back. So we're going to start the 9th move. We add some differences. Obviously the Pilates and the yogic principles in, with the hypnotic or hypnotherapy type principles in there. We're not going down the traditional route of breathing into the belly like a balloon. We're going to zip up pelvic floor, gather in, take the navel towards the spine and zip up and hollow. And again, I'll do some slight differences just to challenge the core in a different way, because we're going down the Pilates path to challenge the corset muscle to stabilise. But I'll go into that in a minute. So first thing, start with the breathing. Okay, very basic moves, the first 2, and then they get a bit more far out with the names. So again, it's just movement. We're going to calibrate and synchronise the breath and the motion. But before we do that, let's just get the breathing. And again, I don't spend too long on the motion because you can pick that up easy. Within the traditional forms, they're linked to meridians, electromagnetic rivers, etc. Within the body, like meridians, linked to organs and different emotions, etc. But we're not going down that path. That's the traditional route. The breathing traditionally is into the belly like a balloon, but we're not going down that path. We are going to go down the Pilates path. So with that, right now, we're going to zip up pelvic floor, scoop out your abdominals, take the navel towards the spine. I was going to move these, got a dumbbell in the way here, going to move that out of the way. Okay, and you're going to breathe in through the nose as you zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals. Breathe in through the nose and simply exhale through pursed lips in the sort of traditional Pilates way. It's what we call lateral thoracic breathing. And as you're doing that, as you're zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out your abdominals, and you're breathing in through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips, okay, just feel that breath coming low and deep to these lower lobes of the lungs, intercostals, the ribs, anywhere but the stomach. Just coming in organ deep, cell deep, even bone marrow deep, into these lower lobes of the lungs, the intercostals, the ribs, anywhere but the stomach, because that will naturally happen anyway as you right now zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals and take the navel towards the spine. You can, if you like, get the 2 middle fingers touching underneath the breastbone, the xiphoid process, the sternum, palms on the lower lobes of the lungs, and as you keep on breathing in through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips, you'll feel these 2 middle fingers slightly part and come back to touch each other, just adding width to the lungs and length to the out breath. The fingers will be moving like seaweed on the bottom of the seabed as you allow your shoulders to relax. Again, watch these upper traps, they're overactive. And you'll feel that breath come into them lower lobes of lungs, so much so you might feel the 2 middle fingers slightly parting and coming back to touch each other. Just adding width to the lungs and length to that out breath as you exhale through pursed lips, as if you're sort of blowing out a candle through pursed lips. Okay, now again, you're going to slightly change that, go down the yogic route. We're going to keep the mouth shut and go in and out for the smaller filter through the nose, more cleansing breath like one of the yogic breaths. And as you still zip up pelvic floor and scoop out the abdominals, that will naturally help you breathe into them lower lobes of the lungs, but we're breathing in and out through the nose. That's going to lengthen the breath even longer. Okay, the whole will cycle of the breath is going to be lengthened by breathing out through the nose, opposed to breathing through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. Everything's 2 subjects. There's fors and against each breathing and different benefits. I digress. So we come back to the breath, the breath within the breath, as Kabir calls it. Now, as you're zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out your abdominals and breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, you'll follow the journey all the way in, but as you exhale out from the nose, you'll naturally want to feel on that out breath that you want to let it fall longer than the in breath. So just simply allow that to happen without even trying, or try not to try. And as you allow that to happen, you're going to consciously take your mind to that out breath. Okay? And rather than the breath breathe you're going to breathe the breath, that out breath. Be within that out breath as you elongate it. Consciously elongate the out breath. Not force anything, within your limits. Okay? Quadruple it, double it, triple it. Find your count. If you used a count, there'd be, everyone have a different count. If you use elongating the out breath, some would be slightly longer, some would be a lot longer. Okay, within your limits. Lovely. And as you elongate the out breath longer than the in breath, again, you could think of that in two ways. You go down the yogic path where the elongated out breath just helps you get into the asanas, or one of the yogic breaths helps you like a tool, the bridge between the mind here, that gaze to see how deeply relaxed you can get into whatever movement or posture or asana you're doing. And also down the hypnotic path, as we elongate the out breath, as we're still zipping up pelvic floor, scooping out your abdominals in that Pilates way, as we elongate the out breath longer than the in breath, we just encourage and benefit the parasympathetic nervous system responses within the body. The parasympathetic nervous system, all the things you don't think about, sleep, digestion, rest and relaxation, all being benefited by elongating that out breath longer than the in breath, just encouraging them restful relaxation responses and endless streams of comfort as you elongate the out breath longer than the in breath, allowing that simplicity just to relax the mind at will. Lovely. So again, you can either stick with that or take it onto slightly more advanced yogic breath called Ujjayi breath, victorious breath in Sanskrit. So if you're going to do that, all we do is breathe in through the nose and we grip at the esophagus. It's like a, and we exhale. And as you can hear, it's like a soft, silky, whistling, raspy sound from the back of the throat as you grip at the esophagus. Again, it will help us lengthen the whole wheel cycle again by narrowing that outlet, that esophagus, with that soft, silky, whistling Ujjayi breath. If you can't get it, don't worry. Just carry on with the breath we're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to demonstrate. We're going to breathe in as you grip at the esophagus. And exhale. Watch the shoulders. They will want to come up on that in-breath when you're doing Ujjayi breath. And exhale. Still lengthening the out-breath longer than the in-breath. That will still naturally want to fall longer than the in-breath, the out-breath. But that will also, as it lengthens the whole wheel cycle of the breath, will also help stimulate the thyroid glands, which helps with weight control, etc. Helps us build the heat within the body, helps us fan the fire to burn all the toxins in the body. Ujjayi breath, victorious breath. If you can't get that, don't worry, just carry on zipping up pelvic floor, scooping out your abdominals, in and out through the nose, and elongating the out breath. On both them breaths you're doing that. But otherwise, Ujjayi breath, you grip at the esophagus. That's the only difference. Again, if you can't get that, don't worry. Again, the main thing is you're breathing, okay? And elongating that out breath longer than the in breath as you zip up and scoop out your abdominals. Very near to Ashtanga breath. Some slight differences. Ashtanga yoga breath. But again, Lovely. Now you can stick with that as we calibrate and synchronize the breath to the motion. Lovely. That will also, as you elongate the out breath longer than the in breath, that will help all the things you don't think about, the housekeeping properties of the body. Again, cellular communication, organ function, etc., process elimination and assimilation with the body. That health and renewal will be benefited by elongating the out breath longer than the in breath, so allowing that simplicity to relax the mind. Nice simple motion, as with all the forms. Breathe in and just exhale really long on this part coming down. Okay, again, if you finish the move before the breath, then just carry on that elongated out breath. That's what we're doing. Okay, with this specific movement, this breath synchronized movement, vinyasa in Sanskrit, breathing in and exhaling for as long as you like. With Ujjayi breath or not. Now, if you want to sink into that, you can do, as with all the qigong moves, you can sink into them as deep as you like. Generally with a squat, as with all energy systems, only going as deep that's comfortable to you. Now again, feet hip width apart, I'm taking the Iyengar yoga principles, only coming down as low as you keep your knees in line with toes. Okay, if you find you can do different, then great. But again, I'm sticking to the safety side. Again, if you want them slightly wider than hip width apart, that's fine. And as you exhale down, you can come down a centimetre or a millimetre, a foot or an inch. See what suits you, but only as low as you keep your knees in line with toes. If you're going to go deeper, go tailbone deep, but only as low as you can still keep your knees in line with toes. Keeping them Iyengar yoga principles. Shoulders down, exhaling for as long as you like, as you wipe away the mist from the day. Lovely. Again, descending down. I'm going to show the legs. We've gone in quite a lot of detail there. But again, you just stay here and do this. Gathering against instability, navel towards the spine. If you want to take it on a little bit further, you can exhale down. And as you come up, partially empty the foot. And then exhale down. Again, feet come out. Breathing, come up. Partially empty the foot in a cat stance. Or you can lift the leg up. Okay, it can be low here. Or come down. Empty one leg, fill up the next. Feel that soft cushion of the earth. Breathing in, exhaling down. Exploit that range, speed and tempo to suit you. If you want to come up higher with the leg, come up higher. But only as high that's comfortable to you. Again, if the foot gets down and you lose your balance, that's fine. Let it down and just carry on the out breath. Feeling that soft cushion of the earth. But again, the main thing we're doing is elongating the out breath on that specific motion. Empty and feel the legs, gathering against the instability, navel towards the spine. If you find you're losing your balance, you can either put your finger on your nose or your ear. That helps your peripheral vision of where you are. But again, just find the motion that suits you. Remember, it's your union of your mind and body. So only make it as easy or as hard as you like. Lovely. So that was number 9 of the whole 35, number 1 of the 18 form part, the 3 forms. Got opening the chest next. Lovely. Bang.